Members, that will take us, what I'm going to do, we have 10 minutes before we have our time certain. So what I'm going to do, unless there's objection, is go ahead and call up item number 3 and have us begin on item number 3. We will not complete, if all the speakers are here, we will not complete item number 3, but when we come back after the music recess, we will go straight to item number 3. For the public, here's what I anticipate will happen is we will begin item number 3. We will have 10 minutes of public comment. At noon, we will go to our 12 o'clock time certain, which is general public comment. Councilmember Vela will be chairing the meeting during the public comment, and he will recess the meeting when we finish that public comment until 1:10. He will recess until 1:10, and at that time we will take up the remaining speakers and take up item number 3. We will then go to item number 63, and my anticipation is we will probably do our 2 o'clock time certain and then go to the executive session. But if something changes, I'll try to announce that in advance. So with that, we will pull up item number 3, and I will turn to the city clerk. Oh, members, one other thing that before we take up item number 3. Item number 3 is an item that has come from the Animal Services Office, but as Councilmember Lane has pointed out, it is related to an item that she had during the budget process and to items 1 and 2. I have provided a proposed motion with regard to that. It is version 2. And for the record, as we hear public comment, I'll get that out there so we can hear any public comment on that as well. What it would do is I would move to provide direction to the city manager as follows. The city manager must notify Austin Pets Alive of animals that are lactating so that APA can pick up lactating animals within 3 hours of ASO providing notice. And that will, I'll offer that at later in our conversation. So I said I was going to go to you, and I didn't do it, but here we are.
Thanks, Mayor. For item 3, I have several remote speakers. We'll start with Heather Myers. Heather, are you there? Okay, we'll try Heather again. Sandra Muller.
Hi, hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Sandra Muller, and I fully support item 3, except for the amendment the mayor just made. I opposed the original code change in 2019, and I'm happy to see it being removed because it's time for Austin to be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to animal services. We shouldn't be bringing more animals into an overwhelmed system. So, for example, there have been 307 kittens and puppies born in care from maternity dogs pulled from an AAC, according to APA's record, just through June of this year. That's 614 additional unwanted animals we will be birthing here in Austin with this ordinance currently in play. AAC's intake dates are now in December. And, you know, as you all know, APA wants the puppies and kittens for marketing and sales. It's easier to play the savior with adorable photos and heart-tugging stories rather than public safety, education, and proactive work that is really badly needed, clearly, after 10 years of no-kill. So just a reminder that last month, social media fully supported Austin doing spay aborts. And don't forget that Dr. Jefferson of APA has stated that pet overpopulation is a myth. So I'm really proud of this council. I don't want to be divisive here, but thanks for bringing forth a common sense resolution, and thanks for your time.
Sonal Patel. Sonal Patel, are you there? Catherine Chambly.
Good morning, council members, mayor. My name is Catherine Chambly. I'm a resident of District 7. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I spoke back during the time frame that we were allowed to speak for the resolution. I am speaking now to continue my support of this item, amending the city ordinance to give spay abort decision making back to the veterinarians. Austin is currently in a stray and unwanted animal crisis. Dates that are being given by AAC for intake are in December now. That is 3 months away. In addition, the multi-purpose room at our shelter at Austin Animal Center is full of crated dogs, medium large dogs, of course, not puppies or kittens. All this to say that it makes no sense in any rational world that we should be pro-birthing more kittens and puppies for any reason whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and cut off my time and just say thank you again for considering this and for making this ordinance change. Thanks so much.
Beverly Luna. Beverly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please begin.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. This is Beverly Luna. I'm with Austin Lost and Found Pets. I fully agree with the mayor's amendment. I think that would help dramatically. Keep in mind that intake at AC is still restricted with immediate intake only for very sick and injured dogs. I have taken a dog to AAC and was told by vet services that pregnancy is not an emergency. And as the previous speaker said, the wait period to get a dog into the Austin Animal Center is now basically almost 3 months. A dog's gestation period is 57 days. Right now, AAC will take pregnant dogs that are producing milk only because APA will take them. Since APA won't be taking them anymore if this passes as it's written, these dogs and cats will be having their puppies and kittens on the streets. Not only is the cruelty of that abhorrent, but it will dramatically worsen Travis County's dog and cat overpopulation problem. There's no requirement in this provision that the Austin Animal Center take the pregnant dogs. And I assure you, my dealings over the years with the Austin Animal Center, since the prior manager came in and started restricting intake, is they will not be taking in these pregnant dogs. They're going to be having their dogs their puppies in the street. I'm not as much of an expert on what they do with cats, but I expect something similar. Anyway, thank you so much.
Sonal Patel. Sonal, are you there? Sonal, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you now.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Sonal Patel, and I am here to urge you to vote no on item 3. The City Council packet claims the proposed amendments to Section 3-1-27 will save money, which is simply not true. In practice, item 3 creates a loophole that increases costs while hiding outcomes from the public. Notably, this ordinance undermines the strategic plan adopted earlier this year. That plan commits to transparency, accurate data, maximizing live release, expanding behavioral support, building community trust, and improving efficiency. Item number 3 moves in the opposite direction. By removing court-ordered euthanasias from the live release rate, Council will create a false signal of progress. Reported euthanasias will decrease and live outcomes will be inflated. That corrodes trust with the public, rescue partners, and other stakeholders who depend on accurate reporting. It also diverts staff time away from life-saving work into costly legal processes that worsen morale and reduce efficiency. The strategic plan calls for building foster networks, behavioral programs, and staff capacity. This amendment instead incentivizes bypassing those commitments in favor of a shortcut to use the courts to kill dogs to avoid the consequences of performance metrics. And to be clear, AAC's current leadership was handpicked by a former director who never prioritized no-kill. Until the city hires a permanent chief animal services officer who believes in and executes Austin's no-kill commitment, every ordinance change like this one will continue to serve that same failed agenda. Council has a choice to enforce transparency and accountability or enable AAC leadership to manipulate metrics. Please honor your commitments to this community by rejecting item 3 and hiring leadership capable of delivering on Austin's decade-long decades-long no-kill promise. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. What we'll do at this point is it is noon, so we will go to our 12 o'clock time certain, which is public comment. As I've indicated, the schedule for the day will be, we'll do the public comment. Councilmember Vela will be chairing the meeting during the public comment period. He will then, at the end of the public comment period, recess until 1:10, excuse me, until 1, I get choked up anytime I think about recesses. He will recess until 1:10 while we have music. When we come back at 1:10, we will begin with the next speaker on item number 3. So with that, I will virtually pass the gavel to Councilmember Vela.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Clerk, can we go ahead and start calling the speakers?
Yes, thank you. Stephanie Stoll, Kiera Francis, Davo Rowe, Silver White Mountain, Matt Dayton.
If you want to go ahead and start.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Stoll. It's disappointing to see so many people exit at this moment. I'm a parent of 2 Barton Hills Elementary School students, 2nd and 4th grade, and a concerned citizen of the neighborhood. I respectfully speak in strong support of maintaining Barton Hills Elementary as a vital, cost-efficient, and inclusive school within AISD. If school closures are really about finances, the dollars do not justify the closure of Barton Hills Elementary School. According to the AISD data rubric, we are among the lowest as far as cost per student in staffing and academic support. We are in the bottom 23% of schools in cost per student pertaining to building and operation costs. In contrast, we are among the top third of all AISD elementary campuses in percentage of students receiving special education services. Its reputation as a small, calm environment is ideal for an array of learners. We have the 8th largest percentage of seats filled by resident-zoned population, which leads me to my second topic. Closing walkable and bikeable neighborhood schools like Barton Hills Elementary does not align with the city's investment in the Austin Strategic Mobility Plan. The Safe Routes to School program helps children choose human power to get to school. You aim for students across Austin to walk, bike, and roll safely to school, and BHE students are a great example of that. The 2016 mobility bond included $27.5 million for safe routes to school and an additional $20 million in the 2020 bond. According to the Transportation and Public Works Department, over $385,000 of that investment in sidewalks and the intersection leading to our school on Barton Hills Drive alone. Our school is the central hub of the community and one of the reasons these resources were allocated to the Zilker Barton Hills neighborhoods. My final factor is the cultural contribution. For several years, since 2009, the BHE choir, comprised of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students, has performed at Austin city limits. One of those kids is mine this year, and they are singing on Saturday, October 4th. We would love for you to join. This is a great example of how our school's talents enrich our community, and these young Austinites add to the fabric of our musical landscape. Please do everything you can in your power to keep Barton Hills Elementary School open. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. The next speaker, sir, do you want to?
Hi, I'm David Rowe. I currently live in District 7 and am moving to District 8. I was born in St. David's Hospital on 32nd Street and have always called Austin home. Not even our times, but only this moment has made me consider speaking to you, my city council. My topic is why and how to avoid a deployment of the National Guard to Austin. The notion that the U.S. executive branch might deploy troops in our city seems more and more likely as you learn about this happening in other cities. The U.S. executive branch sent Marines and National Guard to L.A. in June. They're still there. Then into Washington, D.C., where they will stay as long as the administration likes. Next is Memphis, Tennessee, where the state's Governor Bill Lee welcomed the presidential overreach. The Memphis rollout is a replica of the DC action, as the president said, meaning DC is not a special case because of its constitutional status. A false emergency is declared. The emergency of the crime spree in Washington is fabricated where crime was falling. Troops are sent in against the phantom crime spree. Chicago avoided this overreach when the administration tried. Chicago avoided troops because the government and the people spoke up. Peaceful protests, but also persistent, sane opposition by the local government. We don't have a J.D. Pritzker, but a Greg Abbott, a Trump ally, as governor of our state. But I think the mayor and the city council's voice is more powerful in this matter. Our governor is more in the mold of Bill Lee, who said the federal intervention would move this city forward. Imagine phrases Abbott would find for moving Austin forward if given the same chance. Find new motivation to act early against guard deployment to Austin on federal winds. Vacancies or no in our police force, National Guard troops would undermine our careful success with community-driven policing. Research for yourself, but experts agree the National Guard is a clumsy tool for municipal safety. Austin would be chosen on the model of Memphis or like LA in a rare moment of minor civil unrest, which the administration would seize upon, and as the false emergency. In my view, we are not so different from Memphis, where the administration expected and received state-level encouragement. I say Lisa Davis is doing a fine job. Thanks, but no thanks to federal militia. Thank you, Mr. Siegel, and Ms. Ellison, who will be my future representative. Thank you, Mayor, and all of my city council.
Thank you very much, sir. With the next speaker.
Council members, thank you for your consideration today. My name is Kiera Francis, and I'm here to address the escalation of crime in the Barton Hills and Zilker neighborhoods. I'm a resident of Barton Hills and have been a parent at Barton Hills Elementary for 9 years. The events of September 10th are not the first dangerous or deadly crimes that have begun at Barton Springs, but we ask that you understand the magnitude of the situation and make changes to prevent what happened and what could have been. A meeting is scheduled at our school for this Friday to talk about the topic, but I'd like to go on record to ask for a clear path forward. We demand more explicit guidance for citizens in shelter-in-place and other active threat situations. How should the community report a suspect's location, and what action should be taken during a shelter-in-place? How does APD act to prevent residential entry in these situations? It has been 15 days, and we don't know the answer to any of these questions. To start, we are asking for increased patrols of the Barton Springs area, including the ball fields, the south side of Zilker Park, and the vacant site at 2800 South Lamar, Barton Skyway, and South Lamar. These spaces serve as functional town squares for illicit activity, which continues around the clock in plain sight, without threat of consequence to the criminals, or in the case of the property on South Lamar, the site owner. Begin by enforcing the voter-passed local ordinance and state law ban on camping in public spaces, as well as laws against drug use, alcohol consumption, firearm possession, littering, and dumping. We should not have to ask for the cleanup of hazardous waste, litter, needles, glass, and flammable materials around the baseball fields, parks, and homes. The city is quick to enforce the Wildlife Urban Interface Code on area residents, but completely complicit in allowing illegal campers to build forts, smoke, and cook over open flames, driving up the risk of wildfire, all without consequence. We are calling for a no-tolerance safe zone within a 5-mile radius of all public schools. Protecting citizens is the government's #1 responsibility, not a burden for parents to shoulder on their own. Enforcing existing laws within these zones on camping, drugs, alcohol, firearms, littering, and dumping would create a clear, consistent boundary where kids, parents, guardians, and teachers can move safely and confidently every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. With the next speaker, if you want to just move the microphone a little closer to you, there you go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here today as a representative of LVT, and I want to start by thanking the City Council and this community for giving me the opportunity to speak. We know that when you hear about security cameras, especially in Austin, you think about privacy.
And sir, I'm sorry, could you state your name for the record?
Matthew Dighton.
Thank you.
With LVT. Privacy concerns are valid. It's an issue we hear about all the time, and especially when some companies don't prioritize privacy. I want to take a few moments to directly address some of the questions that have come up regarding our units and privacy. I've been speaking to members of the community all morning out in front of the building. Our cameras are not designed for mass surveillance. They are strategically placed in specific locations to address security needs. It's important to understand that our systems do not use facial recognition or track specific individuals. Our focus is on making an area safer. We take our commitment to your privacy very seriously. When it comes to the video footage, our customers own and monitor their units. The video is automatically deleted after 45 days, and on average, over 99.99% of it is never kept longer than that. If the city, as our customer, needs to share footage with law enforcement, that's their choice. We don't share any data or video footage ourselves unless required by a valid subpoena or warrant. The strict policy ensures privacy is protected and that we follow the law. Our employees only have access for a valid business reason, and even then, they must have explicit permission from the customer to view the camera footage or feeds. Ultimately, our top priority is to provide a safe and secure environment for everyone. Our units have features like lights and loudspeakers that are designed to deter crime before it happens. We do not share footage with third parties unless authorized by a customer or required by a legal process. We are committed to making sure our technology is used responsibly to build a safer community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public speakers?
Yes, after Silver White Mountain, we have Amy Winslow, Clarissa Ortiz, Koja Rami, and Tatiana Arnold.
Hello, Council. Silver White Mountain here. First of all, we shouldn't be so serious all the time at this half hour. Now, this would be out of character for the norm, but not in my case. It's my 3 minutes, and I can talk about anything I want. So the topic today is about fashion. For summer 2025 men's shirts, the color on trend included soft pastels like lavender, pistachio, and mint green. Also popular were classic blues and buttery yellow. Some men were even brave enough to wear pink this past summer. I saw one gentleman wear an entire outfit of pink. Now I'm going to speak about what y'all wear on camera. This took place on the City Council budget work session on 8/7/2025, televised on 8/9/2025. The mayor wore a floral tie that was very captivating. Then he added a lavender shirt, or that's the color it looked like on TV, and it was very pleasant. He also added a gray sport coat. Then the pin on the lapel was very striking. It took him over the top. What I saw was very becoming to the eye. I tried to expand it, but then I remembered I was not on my phone. I'd like to also mention Mark Duchin, District 10. He also wore the color lavender. He chose to wear a lavender polo shirt and light gray sport coat. He was also on trend. Not everyone can pull these colors off, but these two sure did. Just letting y'all know your public is watching and not just what comes out of your mouth. Now, pedantally speaking, this was televised 5 minutes later than the actual time when it took place live. It could have been synchronized. Since I still got time, next time I will be speaking in regards to the police, constables, and sheriffs who moonlight as security and who are stationed at certain department stores as deterrents. I'm concerned because they're always on their phones, texting, and I can bet it is not security related. Now, my pretties, in the meantime, I'm going to need you to create an app where y'all can tell what the police phones are doing while they are working. I'm leaving now before someone drops a house on me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the levity and the fashion tips. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Amy Winslow, and I've been a proud resident of the Barton Hills neighborhood for almost 40 years. In the light of the terrifying acts that took place in our neighborhood on September 10th, I stand here as a concerned citizen asking you, our city officials, for help. We need your help to realign our attention, focus, and funds alongside APD to prevent this from ever happening again in the future. If you aren't familiar with the events that took place that morning, a man murdered his girlfriend, then shot a police officer near Barton Springs Pool, and then made his way into our neighborhood through the Greenbelt in the early morning hours. Still armed, he ultimately passed by St. Mark's Episcopal Church, where my youngest son is a preschool student, and Barton Hills Elementary, where my oldest son is a second grader. The messaging we received from APD and AISD sent conflicting language about the safety of our neighborhood, and therefore many families had either already dropped their children off at school or were in the process of doing so. During this time, the armed fugitive walked freely among unsuspecting students, families, and educators, all making their way to these campuses. Even after repeated identifications to AISD PD and APD by concerned parents, he forced his way into a private home doors down from the school, where he was finally stopped by the homeowner. These movements have been reconstructed in a community-created map, which I've shared with you today. This map and timeline also captures the communication and lack thereof from both APD and AISD to our neighborhood and school families. Not only are there giant gaps in the communication, please note the timestamps, but the messages themselves are conflicting and misleading. The truth is, we are lucky we are not living out our worst nightmare with the loss of any of our children, but this was way too close. What this event opened our eyes to is that there's so many holes in the system that can't be ignored. We need a clear plan, real accountability, and focused attention. And today I'd like to invite your help and support on the following action items. First, we ask that APD align its incident terminology and procedures with AISD PD, including triggers for shelter-in-place and lockdown orders. Universal language between APD, AISD, AISD PD, and eventually us families is crucial. As a parent that morning, having to decipher these mixed messages, layered with the chaos and fear of the situation, was truly unacceptable. I ended up relying on firsthand accounts from my friends and neighbors of what they were seeing in real time. Secondly, we ask that the City of Austin, APD, and AISD adopt a child-focused shelter-in-place playbook. This would need to include developing protocols to individually notify licensed child care centers, preschools, and all other schools when such a campus is in the boundaries of an APD shelter-in-place order. We believe this could prevent tragedies on an even wider scale.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Chair. Councilmember Alter?
Yes, first off, I just wanted to thank you and the other Barton Hills parents for coming. I will be at the meeting tomorrow, so I'm hoping that we can address some of the questions and concerns that have been put here today. And as someone who tries to get 2 kids to elementary school every morning, I know the challenges in doing just that, and the fact that you had this incident layered on top of that with the confusion and, of course, the desire to keep your kids safe. I can't imagine just what that experience was like, and I want to make sure that it never happens again. And so I've been working with the police chief and our management staff to put some of the protections in place that you've talked about, and hopefully tomorrow we can talk more about that. But I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Tatiana Arnold. I graduated from Dripping Springs High School in 2012 and from Texas A&M University in 2016. Although I traded a hook'em for a gig'em, I love this city. I was raised here and I plan to raise a family here. But I'm deeply disappointed and alarmed by the City of Austin's reckless approach to public safety, specifically your willingness to undermine our fire department while simultaneously exploiting their public trust to advance your political agenda. You know the fire department holds widespread public support. You know this so well that you're attempting to leverage that goodwill to secure endorsements for your property tax increase. The proposed tax rate exceeds the legal limit in Texas, forcing a public vote, and you need the fire department's endorsement to help sell it to voters. Without their support, you deny them the raises they deserve. This is political opportunism at its worst. Using our first responders as props while cutting the very resources they need to keep us safe. The hypocrisy of your treatment of the fire department is staggering. While you've approved raises for police and EMS, you've offered firefighters an insulting 0% raise, except for those with less than 5 years experience, who represent less than 1/3 of the department. The justification you give is you can't pay them more if they work fewer hours, yet you reduce EMS hours by 6 per week while still giving them a 16% raise. The fire department requested a modest schedule change that would reduce their hours by just 1.2 hours per week, but you still use this as an excuse to deny them the raise they rightfully deserve. So this isn't about work hours, it's about leveraging compensation to force their endorsement of the TRE. In addition, your proposed budget cuts would also reduce fire engine staffing from the National Fire Protection Association's recommended 4-person crews to 3. Each firefighter on every crew has a critical role. Proposing to cut staffing on any fire apparatus not only forces AFD to change established policies that are proven to save lives, but also goes against Texas state law. The rules of Texas Administrative Code 43517 specifies that at least 2 firefighters must enter a hazardous environment together and maintain visual or voice contact. Simultaneously, at least 2 other firefighters must remain outside the hazardous area to serve as a rescue team for those inside. That's the law. 4 firefighters for rescue. So council members, if one of your loved ones was in need of rescue and our firefighters were forced to delay a search due to only having 3 men or women staffed on the first arriving unit, what would happen then? In fire emergencies, those lost seconds can mean the difference between saving a life and losing one. 3 is a risk, 4 is a rescue. Now, all of this occurs while the city spends over $1 million on a logo rebrand that has been poorly received and widely dubbed as a waste of taxpayer money. You could have achieved better results contracting a graduate student with an art degree. The spending reveals how completely out of touch we are with both fiscal responsibility and public priorities.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. If you want to shift the microphone over, there you go.
Thank you. My name is Kojo Rahimi. I'm here with LVT again just to speak on the previous item 33 agenda. So again, all council members that are here today, thank you for the time and the opportunity to be able to share this with you. So first, let me pull this a little closer here. First, I want to acknowledge the concerns that many of you and many of our neighbors across Austin have raised. When we talk about cameras and technology in our public spaces, people understandably worry about privacy, about being watched, and about whether their personal information will be misused. These are real concerns, and they deserve to be addressed openly. That is why our approach is simple. The City of Austin, not LiveView Technologies, owns and controls every second of video. We do not monitor it, and we do not share it. Footage is encrypted, access is tightly controlled by the city, and it is not released without proper legal process. Our systems do not record audio. They do not use facial recognition and cannot track individuals. In short, this technology is about safety, not surveillance. And that safety is urgently needed. Too often we hear from families who feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods or at their local parks. We've seen how visible deterrent units equipped with lights, alerts, and real-time access can change that story. In communities across the country, these solutions have reduced crime by as much as 40 to 70%. More importantly, they've restored a sense of peace for residents who just want to walk home at night or let their kids play without fear. This isn't about technology, it's about partnership, and our commitment is to stand alongside the City of Austin, providing a solution that strengthens, not replaces law enforcement, empowers community safety, while respecting civil liberties. Council members, Austin is a city known for innovation and for inclusivity, as well as for doing things the right way. By moving forward with this partnership, you are affirming that we can have both safety and privacy, as well as both progress and accountability. On behalf of LiveView Technologies, I thank you for your time, and I hope that the members of this council will approve this step toward a safer, stronger Austin for all of us.
Thank you very much.
All the speakers for noon have been called.
Thank you very much, Clerk. And with all the public comment speakers called, and the City Council will stand in recess until 1:10.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1:10 p.m., and I will call back to order the Austin City Council meeting on September 25th, 2025. Thank Councilmember Vela for presiding earlier. With that, we will take back up item number 3. We were listening to public comment on item number 3, so I will turn to the City Clerk's office to continue that.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one more remote speaker in the queue, Heather Myers. Are you there? You know what? I think my screen froze. I'm going to call in-person speakers and we'll go back to Heather. Okay. Lori Michael, Paige Nilsson, Craig Nazer, Anthony Comstock, Julie Oliver.
Please Please come forward as your name is called, find a seat, and just state your name for the record so we'll know you're here. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor Watson, council members, my name is Lori Michelle. I am an attorney here in Austin and a longtime advocate for Austin's lost and homeless pets. I reside in District 9. Mayor Watson, I'd like to thank you very much for your long-standing steadfastness to help the homeless pets of not only the city of Austin, but the state of Texas during your time as a state senator. I'm very grateful for your service and your commitment. I am also equally grateful for your amendment today on agenda item 3 and for pulling it from the consent agenda. This said, I would also like to thank your staff for their accessibility, their openness and respect to us as we have communicated with various issues concerning the animal shelter over the last few years. I am asking, despite the amendment, which is a huge move in the right direction, that the council either vote against item number 3 or at least table it for more input, information, and discussion. Agenda item 3 is a vast and dramatic departure from the long-standing city policies that were designed to protect our homeless pets. If passed, the city will spay visibly pregnant females at the shelter if they are lactating, and thereby abort until they're lactating, if the amendment is added, and thereby abort their babies, even when there are rescue partners ready and willing to take them. The item also creates reporting loopholes to give that cover up the true number of animals being killed at the animal shelter. If you have ever fostered a pregnant mother, as I have, you will see how hardwired they are to give birth, and to disrupt that process is a terrible form of cruelty. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mayor Watson, we're
Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
I have 6 minutes.
Yes, you have some time donated by Pat. Pat, are you still here? Pat Vostrayas?
Yeah, there she is.
And Chelsea Cortilla? Thank you. Okay, 6 minutes.
Hello, Austin City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Paige Nilsson. I'm a resident of District 4. I'm a practicing veterinarian, and I have worked as a relief veterinarian at Austin Animal Center since 2016. Prior to vet school, I was a neurophysiology research associate at UCLA. As additional background, I am the chair of the Animal Advisory Commission, but I am not speaking in that role today. I am speaking as a practicing veterinary professional who is familiar with the workings of our municipal shelter, and I'm a passionate animal advocate in support of agenda items 1 through 3, but not as amended. This amendment will have major disastrous unintended consequences. I have personally done exams on dogs and cats incoming to the shelter that I discovered were lactating. I was then able to let animal control officers know, and they were able, I said, these dogs and cats likely have puppies and kittens out in the community still. And they were able to reunite those dogs with those puppies, much to the relief of the owners in many of those situations. So the unintended consequences of this would be the death of left behind puppies and kittens in our community if these animals had to go to APA. How would APA reunite them with their puppies and kittens? It wouldn't happen. So when the right to rescue issue was brought up as a resolution last month, Dr. Jefferson of APA released a video on social media opposing the resolution with 3 claims. Her claims were pet overpopulation is a myth, spaying pregnant animals is inhumane and dangerous, this ordinance is not a mandate that the animals give birth. These claims were utterly rejected by nearly everyone who took the time to respond to the post. People ranging from APA's own fosters and volunteers to national animal welfare organizations who commonly practice and advocate for pregnant spays expressed shock and dismay that APA would profess views so out of line with reality. The response to Dr. Jefferson's claims was so negative that APA took down the video and posted an apology in its place. I've noted that APA did not make any public post prior to today's meeting, but Dr. Jefferson seems to be using these misleading and outrageous claims to try to sway people in one-on-one conversations where she is not exposed to the same pushback and public debunking. Pet overpopulation is not a myth. I know Dr. Jefferson claims to have data to the contrary. I have seen the supposed data, and it is nothing of the sort. The veracity of the pet overpopulation burden on our public and on our shelters is self-evident to anyone working in animal rescue or sheltering, and I support City Council allowing the shelter vets to perform more of the spays needed to address this issue. Spaying pregnant animals is safe and humane. I dedicated my full 2-minute allotment to the science behind this when I spoke on the resolution last month, and I'm happy to answer any questions that still may remain on this subject. Lastly, I want to reiterate that our larger Austin community does not support legislative burdens that remove decisions about pregnancy termination from medical professionals. APA has claimed that the current ordinance is not a mandate that the animals give birth, but in practice, that is exactly what it is. APA has never said, no, we won't take that pregnant animal, you can go ahead and spay it. That has never happened, even though they have not taken all of the pregnant animals. They've strung us along, and many of those animals have given birth at the shelter, and then APA never took them, leaving the shelter to raise them for 10 weeks and care for them. As someone who watched the ratcheting restrictions on abortion care for people, this language is all too familiar. We're not preventing pregnancy termination. We're just making it safer. We're just making sure the hallways are big enough. We're just mandating a wait period. We're just putting in a pause. I encourage our city council to reject this wolf in sheep's clothing. The vets at the shelter know full well that if there is a pregnant animal that would be better off going to a rescue than being spayed, they know exactly what to do in those instances, and they will not hesitate to reach out to APA or any other appropriate rescue. The veterinarians will reach out to rescues if they feel that is appropriate. There is no need for the patronizing current ordinance or any proposed amendment to today's ordinance to remove subsection D. Trust the shelter veterinarian's medical judgment and expertise. Since the passage of the current ordinance, no visibly pregnant animal has been spayed at the shelter. That is not to say that APA has taken all of those pregnant animals. They certainly have not. I worked with one just a few weeks ago who APA was alerted that we had a pregnant dog when she came in. Over 10 days later, they still had not taken her. She gave birth at the shelter. She had to raise 7 puppies in the 600 buildings for 10 weeks. No puppies should be exposed to that kind of noise, stress, communicable disease, and the city should not be responsible for taking care of those pets and paying for them when we could have humanely spayed her. Additionally, passing today's ordinance to remove subsection D without amendment will correct a very harmful, vague city ordinance. The basis for notifying a rescue in the current ordinance is visibly pregnant. That is meaningless. It depends on the viewer. It depends on the animal. It depends on their coat. It's meaningless. Thank you.
Mr. Naser.
Hello. Craig Naser, Austin environmentalist and past chair and 8-year member of Austin Animal Advisory Commission. The Endangered Species Act has been extremely successful in protecting biodiversity. It continues to be supported by over 80% of Americans. Nevertheless, there are powerful interests that constantly try to weaken it because they just don't think it works. They know better than to try to repeal it because it is so popular. So they try to make it less effective, piecemeal, in committee, behind closed doors, without citizens' input. You know what I'm talking about. No kill is popular in Austin and exceeded extremely well less than 10 years ago. But poor past hiring decisions have left our shelter dysfunctional. On June 13th, 2020, the Austin Animal Advisory Commission clearly warned you in a resolution of no confidence of this fact. Now, the anti-no-kill minority, who continues to believe without any real evidence that there are too many pets and too few homes in Austin, are trying to undermine what's left of no-kill in a misguided attempt to make the shelter functional again. If you believe that there are too many animals and not enough homes in Austin, then there is no way you can logically claim that you support no kill. And you can't call yourself an expert in no kill. That one false assumption simply makes no kill impossible. You are making these decisions without commission input and without responding to constituent input, allowing you to succeed in weakening no kill, but it will not leave you with better shelter operations. The key to a successful no-kill shelter is a chief animal officer who believes no kill can work and is willing to do what is necessary to make it work. Thoughts are creative. Now it's you who have to believe no kill can work and hire the person to make it work. I am deeply disappointed in the lack of desire of this city council to discuss this issue with those of us who care the most.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to try Heather Myers one more time, but she might have dropped off. Heather Myers, are you there? Heather, are you there? Okay. Going back to in person, George Moore, Joanne Norton, Nancy Niemer, Susie Chase.
Please come forward.
Good afternoon. I'm Joanne Norton. Although I'm on the Animal Advisory Commission, I'm speaking as a private citizen from District 3, requesting your support for Agenda Item 3. I'm also a retiree from the City Law Department and a retiree from the City of Austin Retirement System. As an AAC medical foster and one of the founders of the AAC dog walking team that supports shelter staff caring for sick and injured animals, I have worked closely with the AAC veterinary staff since 2018, so I know firsthand how much thought and care goes into their determining a path for each pet. AAC's vets have a lot of training and need to use their knowledge and experience to make medical decisions. The ordinance changes put the medical decisions for city-owned animals back in the hands of AAC's capable, professional veterinary team without delay and undue suffering. The decision-making power regarding whether or not to spay or neuter a city-owned animal will be fully restored to the city's veterinary professionals, as it should be, without tying their hands with the amendment. We are not talking about rogue vets not providing proper care and tossing animals into the trash. We're talking about professionals using their knowledge and expertise to make decisions for animals in a way that works for the situation they are in, humanely carrying out their decision and treating all pets with dignity. Regarding reporting, after consultation with AAC management, I support the recommended changes and appreciate their commitment to transparency. For example, court-ordered euthanasias are not part of the live outcome, but they are reported to the Animal Commission monthly in a section of the AAC report. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Nancy Niemer, and first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, for your motion or amendment to this. It's very much appreciated. I am a local attorney and a current longstanding member of the Animal Advisory Commission, an appointee of Travis County. I am not here in my official capacity on the commission, but am instead speaking for myself. I want to voice some personal concerns that I have with agenda item number 3 and a lack of transparency with not only stakeholders like rescue partners, including APA and one of the foremost experts in the no-kill movement, Dr. Ellen Jefferson, and the public, but with the Animal Advisory Commission that was basically formed to advise this council on animal affairs, but was completely bypassed by the Austin Animal Center in regards to agenda item number 3. In short, I was blindsided to hear that this council would be taking up a complete reversal of the long-standing ordinance about offering visibly pregnant animals to rescue partners before performing spay aborts. This is not a cost-saving measure for the city at all, as the cost of sometimes very expensive spay aborts could be avoided by transferring the pregnant animal to a rescue, which in turn opens up a kennel at the Austin Animal Center for intake. This proposed change should have been brought before the commission to let the commissioners and the public voice their positions on a literally life-changing proposal. It is my belief that this was done intentionally because the backers of this proposal knew that the public and many commissioners would come out against it.
That is not the way that the city is supposed to conduct business. It is neither clear nor transparent, which city government should be 100% of the time. Similarly, the proposal now on the table to change the way live outcomes are calculated by adjusting for court-ordered euthanasia cases was slipped past the commission and the public. This is also a serious concern to me, as AAC often seeks court orders.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, and Council. My name is Susie Chase. I'm a District 10 constituent. I'm a former aide in 2 City Council offices, and for more than 4 years, I've had the privilege of working with animal advocates at organizations across Central Texas in my role at Austin Pets Live. Mayor Watson, thank you for pulling item 3, and thank you for your amendment. There's a dog that I want to tell you all about that was living at Austin Animal Center until last week named Polo. As the decision makers in the city, you need to know some important things about her. As you can see, she's visibly pregnant. We took her after we were told by Austin Animal Center that she was in surgery to get spayed. You need to know that Polo fell into our safety net after funded City of Austin programs failed her. 15 years ago, the council funded and approved a medical make-ready program. That means that animals are processed at the city shelter, and it means they're supposed to quickly be spayed or neutered. But unfortunately, Polo sat at Austin Animal Center for 6 weeks. So these animals are not going in and getting spayed and neutered immediately, or at least not all of them, because this one certainly didn't. So we've provided a safe place for her, and I got to say, 9 city council members should not have voted last month that it's fair or humane for dogs like Polo to undergo that procedure at this stage when the council-approved program and department failed her. For pregnant and nursing cats that APA takes in from AAC, the mom cats help feed orphan kittens. If that's right for them, the AAC Public Information Manager said to Austin American-Statesman last month, quote, "Generally, Austin Pets Live won't take the newborn kittens or puppies." Well, the truth is that you can find on the City of Austin dashboard, Austin Pets Alive has taken, so far this year, 780 neonatal or bottle baby kittens. 780. Without Austin Pets Live, these kittens and spayed moms would still be at the city shelter. The budget item last month was brought forward without consulting Austin Pets Live, your largest shelter partner. Everyone on the 2nd and 3rd floors should have already received training on the Bleicher training of informed consent. If you don't, okay. So thank you so much for this time. I'm sorry that I have to stop, but if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to send you my additional comments.
Appreciate it.
Continue on with item 3, Ben Suddaby, Alex Ortiz, Ellen Jefferson, and Benjamin Lagunas.
Hello, Council, Mayor, City Manager. My name is Ben Suddaby. I am speaking on behalf of myself as a D4 resident, not on behalf of the union that I'm a proud member of, or any other board, or anywhere else that I serve. I'm here in favor of this item. My perspective, like many issues that come before you, is from a worker perspective. This is the way I see it. As a city, you hire professionals into their roles to oversee this. I think about all of our hard, dedicated, animal-loving workers at our city shelter and all the work that they do to care for these animals. I think about veterinarians, right? Someone who went to years and years and years of school to become a veterinarian. They love animals so much they made it their life's work, probably went into student debt for that. They not only did that, then they opted to go into public service to use these veterinary skills. Not, probably could make a lot more money out in the private sector. But they are people who love these animals. What we're doing here is a great idea. Trusting their judgment, putting it in their professional hands, and letting them have that discretion and, use their best expertise in these cases. That's why I'm very much in favor of this and would support it unamended. I don't want any kind of rules about who they have to notify within certain hours. I think that's very onerous. They are clearly paying attention to this item. They probably got the message that, hey, if there's an opportunity to alert partners, I fully trust that these professionals will do so. But I view this item as showing great respect to them. And you've hired them for a reason. You're paying them. Now allow them the freedom to do their job.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Ellen Jefferson.
You need to use that microphone.
Sorry. My name is Ellen Jefferson, President of Austin Pets Alive. Thank you, Mayor, for pulling this item and for recommending a motion to save our partnership that's worked for most of the last 17 years, saving dogs and cats near birth, near giving birth without impeding our city's 95% live release rate, and without sacrificing intake for most of that time. As a veterinarian and national expert in no-kill sheltering with 25 years serving Austin's animals, founding Emancipet, and leading Austin Pets Alive, I can tell you that the core of what makes Austin no-kill is access and transparency. Prior to the no-kill resolution in 2011, animals died behind closed doors and no one knew, and no one helped. When the City Council voted on the implementation plan of 34 points, it opened doors allowing the community to help. Removing extremely pregnant animals from the code that requires notice to rescue organizations and removing mandatory reporting of terminal spays and court-ordered euthanasias starts closing our city doors to the community again. This allows city public servants to lethally remove animals without community knowledge. As we know, there are good intentions behind that, but it's antithetical to Austin's values. I know that AAC is overcrowded and suffering. That 2011 implementation plan had key programs that desperately need to be reinstated at AAC. They worked before, many are restated again in the 2025 strategic plan, and they will open your doors immediately. We believe in collaboration, and speaking for APA, we also believe that every animal deserves a second, third, and fourth chance, and at least a fair trial. We believe in transparency and community access, and we believe that Austin can operate as the premier no-kill city right now with the resources it has. Collaboration works best when we are all heading towards the same goal, even if we argue over the exact path. Policy won't fix programming, and your community can't inform policy when we're not invited. Thank you.
Mayor, all speakers for item 3 have been called.
Thank you. Members, you've heard all the speakers on item number 3 have been called. What I would suggest we do is I'll recognize Councilmember Lane to make a motion on item number 3. We'll get a motion and a second on item number 3, and then I will offer the motion that I've put out in front of everybody, version 2, and we can discuss that, and then we'll come back to the main motion. So, Councilmember Lane, you're recognized.
Okay. Is it sufficient for me to simply say I move for passage of item 3 without amendment?
Say that again.
I move for passage of item 3 without amendment.
That's fine. Okay. Council, you want to say anything more than that?
Do we need a second first?
Well, you don't need a second, but I'll be happy to wait for it. We have a motion to approve item number 3. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Vela. What I'll do now is I'll offer up an amendment. We'll discuss the amendment, and we'll offer the amendment on. So, members, you have in front of you. It's labeled item number 3, motion 1, version 2. It's Watson motion to provide direction on item number 3. And I will move adoption of this proposed motion to provide direction on item number 3. As it's indicated, well, let me say it this way. This leaves the ordinance largely intact and consistent with the vote that the overall council took by a supermajority back when we were talking about budget items. It allows for some animals to be sent to a rescue partner late in the pregnancy. And the truth of the matter is, I firmly believe that regardless of how you feel about the main motion, we need partners, we need collaboration in order to protect the animals that we all feel so strongly about and we love. And this motion does that. It allows for the continued partnership, allows for greater collaboration in some instances. And I'll end it by saying that we all care very deeply about this. There's really strong different points of view, but we all care deeply about it. We all want to do the right thing. This direction is just a part of how we can continue that collaboration, how we can continue those partnerships without significantly changing the main motion, which, I counted votes a couple of weeks ago, so we know where those are. So with that, I would offer motion to amend version 2 to provide direction on item 3. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Alter. Discussion with regard to the motion to amend. Councilmember Lane.
Yes, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discuss further. And I really appreciate all of the public comment that we've heard today, the emails and the meetings that we have all taken around these issues, and the passion that we all have around providing compassionate care for our animals. I, as a council member, absolutely ran on and will continue to bring forward attempts to streamline processes, separate policy from process, work on them in the ways that create the most efficient practices for our city. It is with that objective that I began to bring these things forward and to support them. And I absolutely understand and appreciate the efforts that the mayor and others have done, including myself, to reassure Austin Pets Alive that we do not want to radically, and I did not, I'll speak for myself, did not bring this forward, anything forward out of an attempt to radically reinvent Austin's relationship with Austin's Pets Alive. But I do think that in moments of financial challenges that we are all facing, it is important to be as streamlined and collaborative in coming to solutions as possible. So with that, I have a concern and a question. So I have concern about enshrining into policy a requirement to notify a single nonprofit partner out of a community that is rich and diverse. And I think that if we have a policy that restores judgment and discretion to our trained professionals that are on our staff, that's appropriate. And that if we do want to enshrine certain notification and policy process improvements with a single partner, in past experience, I would say that comes through contract negotiations. And I've heard a lot and seen a lot of information that it does need to be looked into more deeply. It does need to be worked out into a working relationship with common expectations. So my question, and Mayor, I don't know if you would want to answer it or if I should call on staff, but my question is, why wouldn't we handle this type of thing through a contractual process rather than choosing a winner or a loser?
Well, and I'm happy to have professional staff answer the question, but we have a license agreement already with Austin Pets Alive. What this does is simply, and I've checked with legal and I've checked with the professional staff. My original thought was along the lines where we would direct that there be an amendment to that, if needed, an amendment to that licensing agreement. I'm told we do not need to make that amendment. We didn't need, because the licensing agreement would allow for this to happen simply by allowing the direction about how you operate within that licensing agreement. So there's no need to go back and try to reinvent the wheel. There may very well be a time, and it may be soon, where we need to have negotiations regarding that licensing agreement. But in order to achieve what you want to achieve with your ordinance, this amendment, which, as I indicate, leaves your proposed ordinance largely intact with one aspect to it, you don't need to have an amendment to do that.
So as amended, we wouldn't need to do anything with respect to the licensing agreement. If not amended, if it passes without being amended, would we then need to amend the licensing agreement in order to address those concerns?
No, but you don't have the direction. If the council's desire is to provide this direction under this ordinance that you're wanting to pass, then the best way to do that is to give that direction. You don't need to amend the licensing agreement in order to give that direction.
Thank you. I just have one additional comment, and then I'll be finished. I want to highlight the additional requirements around data and reporting that are part of everything that's passed so far, what we're looking at today. That is a significant change from pre-no-kill plan. And I believe it is a more appropriate way to track our progress towards our goals as a city, to ensure that we're getting reliable regular data reporting, starting with a baseline and measuring our progress or our backsliding, and then adapting how our processes work in real time based on that. For me, as a council member, I would very much prefer that we limit our policy to the big picture, restoring the management authority within the city of the highly skilled professionals that we pay, and also ensuring that this data reporting is carried out. And with that, I would appreciate hearing anyone else's perspectives. I am opposed to the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any further discussion on the amendment? Councilmember Duchin.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to build on some of the comments that Councilmember Lane touched on just now as well as earlier today. I've been incredibly frustrated with the animal services situation, maybe more accurately described as a stalemate or impasse since starting back in January. And a lot of the advice I frankly got was just to steer entirely clear of this issue and not touch it. And so even my comments right now are in violation to that probably incredibly wise advice. And yet our shelters are overcrowded. My staff and I have seen that with our own eyes on our own trips out there. We've got big dogs that have been there for months and months and months. And we've got what seem to be a lot of systemic challenges in this space. And so I worry that doing nothing doesn't seem realistic or appropriate. And it's particularly frustrating to me that we can't, in the process of researching this, we can't even find basic common ground on some what seem to be relatively easy to find facts. When we tried to find out how many animals were transferred to partners, I got completely and wildly different answers from city staff and from APA. And so the only real consensus I've witnessed in the last 9 months is just the disappointment with our prior director, and we're past that. And so we're at a new impasse. I came in with a philosophy of trying to listen to as many viewpoints as possible on this, to research, collect information, and then make the best informed decision with imperfect information. That's what I feel like we're always doing up here. But for this issue, we talked to at least 4 vets in and out of my district to get their thoughts, vets that in some cases had experience in working with a lot of the partners in the space that we've heard from today, APA, Emancipet, the city, and so on. And so I really just want to read a couple of their comments that they had allowed me to share, which touch on the mayor's amendment, but also touch on just item 3 in general. For one vet, they mentioned, and this is in the context of animals and the mayor's amendment, that while there are situations where it may be appropriate to postpone surgery on a particular lactating animal, I think the person best equipped to weigh the pros and cons and make the ultimate decision is the veterinarian who will be performing the surgery and managing the shelter population. And a lot of the value I thought with Councilmember Lane's initiative here was to restore more autonomy to the professionals that are in the space, to empower the actual practitioners. And again, that's one reason I very much valued hearing from vets and other medical professionals in this space, because their knowledge and discretion and how they make the decisions is really important to how we solve this problem. I think we can all agree there's a problem here. How we break this impasse and solve it, I think, is the key question. They've also sent us a lot of, what do they call it, JAVMA, articles about this. That's the medical journal in this space, as well as the information from the Association of Shelter Vets. And so the bottom line is, I wanted to raise one last point on this, actually, which was one of the refrains that we keep hearing is the challenge is with administration. And I worry that having gone back and looked at administration for the last decade at ASO across multiple directors, it just seems implausible that it's only administration that's again and again for years that's creating the overcrowding situation that we've got, and that there's no other factors involved that we should be looking at to try and address. I mean, even the idea of having a pilot or some kind of trial to say we'll have all the other shelters and vets be control groups, and we'll select a few to adopt this procedure and see how things shake out in 6 months. Seems like it would cause another 6 months of very heated discussion and impasse. So my hope was, let's figure out how to restore autonomy to professionals in the space. Again, I've got a lot more comments that I can share, jab my articles if anybody's curious, but let's get away from hyperbole. Let's try and settle on facts. Let's try and figure out how we address some of the concerns that have been raised about the reporting and getting better stakeholder engagement on this. As I explained to some of the folks when we talked to them, the budget process was heated, and this is not the only space where we had to make tough and quick decisions on, and that's unfortunate, but we've certainly had time in the interim to visit with stakeholders and do research on this. So all to say, support Councilmember Lane's initiative, and based on the feedback I've gotten from multiple vets, feel like it'd be better to move forward without the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Unless there's further discussion, I'll close simply by saying that, as I've indicated, this leaves the ordinance primarily intact, most of it intact, with one small exception. And I think it's an important exception for collaboration and continued partnerships with our rescue partners. With that being said, the vote is on the Watson motion to amend. Those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Those abstaining, raise your hand. How are you voting, Councilman? I did not catch your hand. Yeah, I keep looking at you. Yeah. Okay. There being 6 votes in favor, 4 votes in opposition, and Councilmember Ellis abstaining, the motion to amend is adopted. Those voting in favor, for the record, are Alter Velasquez, the Mayor Pro Tem, the Mayor, Councilmember Caudry, and Councilmember Harper Madison. Those voting against are Duchin, Vela, Siegel, Lane, and then 1 abstention, and that is Councilmember Ellis. So that will take us back to the main motion, which is item number 3 as amended. Is there any further discussion on item number 3 as amended? Hearing, yes, Councilmember Harper Madison.
It's discussion, but not necessarily about the item so much the subject matter, and because the people that I would be addressing are in the room, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege.
Well, try to keep it on the item, and I'll recognize you.
You got it. This discussion in and of itself is exactly why I'm going to break the very advice that I offered Councilmember Duchin coming in, which was to avoid this subject matter altogether. And that's if, for no other reason, it's so difficult to make some of the decisions already when the people that are fighting for are fighting with one another. It's impossible. It's untenable for us as policymakers to choose sides. We can't, because we know, respect, like all of you guys. You're our neighbors. You're our coworkers. You're the people we do stuff with. We want to hear both sides and be able to make a rational judgment based on what information we have in addition to what information you have. But I will say, I've never been in a room with all parties present and myself present where I felt like I walked out of that room like we had a really good collaborative discussion where everybody entered the room in good faith and wanted to walk out with real solutions, recognizing that when good collaboration goes well, that means good compromise goes well. And when good compromise goes well, everybody leaves the room feeling like they lost something. And that just has to be how it is. This is democracy. Everybody has to give something. I'd like very much on my way out, as I'm breaking the seal on talking to folks about the subject more in depth, I'd like to have all parties present with me and my staff and have a real conversation about what it is that I'm leaving for my successor with the district on office as it comes to this subject. I don't want to leave them don't touch it advice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Harper Madison. And before we vote, I believe she just spoke for probably 11 members of the Austin City Council that I'm not going to say I'll speak for all of them, but I'll speak for myself as well. This has become untenable. This is to the point of, and you can shake your head at me and you can grin, but the vitriol with which people speak to each other is a real problem, and it needs to be addressed, and everybody needs to address it. This has become even prior to Councilmember Lane making her attempts to make good changes. This was an issue with the prior council, and I agree with Councilmember Duchin that it can't be seen as just an administrative problem. Just one person, regardless of how people feel about the job that one person did or may have done, that's not, this has become almost partisan politics. And we've got to get it past partisan politics. Otherwise, we're not going to be making good policy. So with that, if there's no further discussion, without objection, item number 3 as amended is adopted. All right, that'll take us now to